asked, he said, I do not know what suffering is. Said Sri Krishna, as it were, has placed a picture of bliss in my heart, and I always used to feel joy. I never felt suffering. If one cannot feel suffering after being surrounded by people who will invariably cause suffering, even to people like Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda would have escaped. They would have had nothing to do with all this worldly stuff. But see, Holy Mother, she just decided to face everything with a stateliness, with a calmness, and with a spiritual serenity which you will hardly encounter. You see, most of the great personalities, including Jesus, Buddha, all of them had to run away. All of them escaped. So this is one way of looking at the greatness of Holy Mother. She showed that one doesn't have to do anything. One does not have to even renounce the world. So maybe for ordinary people who are in the world and who have to no other choice but to live in the world, she is an excellent example of what real spiritual power can do. That is why Sri Krishna worshipped her, respected her. And she said, I have done very little, you have to do much more. What did he mean by that? He accomplished he all the spiritual exercises that he did, all the spiritual practices that he did. If you read the great master, it's not possible for any human being to do. And even he says, I have left her behind to complete my mission and do much more than what I did. So definitely, if we study the life and teachings of Holy Mother, there is something far, far more deeper and significant than what we see by our eyes. Apparently, a simple life, humdrum life, cooking food day in and day out, cooking, cleaning vessels, serving everyone, the monks, the crazy devotees, crazy relatives, the other devotees who used to come. Everybody came to her to ask for something. I don't think anybody went to Holy Mother to give her something. Whereas Sri Krishna would now and then, even though he was the king of renouncers, now and then he would ask. But before he passed away, he told Holy Mother that whatever happens, don't spread your hands. That means don't ask anything of anyone. And she bore that, silently bore, because there was hardly any money that was left behind. Whatever little allowance Sri Krishna used to get, he had saved for her. Even that was denied by some selfish relative, Ramlal. They said, Mother doesn't need money. But she never complained. And she just went on doing her duties, never talking about her suffering. And people used to come in flocks. They used to flock to her, telling Mother about their suffering. Not even bothering to see whether she herself has the basic minimum facilities that a human being needs. And in spite of that, she says, I do not know what suffering is. That is her statement. She says, I never felt any kind of suffering. After suffering all her life, if somebody says, I've never felt that I have suffered. And also, she always felt that there was a picture of bliss, always joyful, serene, not to the extent that Sri Krishna used to dance in joy, sing, and all those things. You'll see none of those things there. You might wonder, there's no ecstasy, no spiritual ecstasy, no kirtan, no devotional moods, no bhava. If you see the great master, one is overwhelmed by the amount of spiritual experiences of all different varieties Sri Krishna himself experienced. He worked hard for that, no doubt. But then you can see a mart of joy in Dakshineshwar. And wherever he went, Balram Mandir, there was so much of external exhibition of spiritual power. So people understand that, people can appreciate that. But how do we appreciate a person who apparently did not even show any signs of samadhi in her life? Once or twice, Swami Yogananda and others, by chance, they saw her meditating and in a very deep state. That is a different thing. But normally, when somebody approached Holy Mother with their problems or casually, so many people used to go wherever she was, whether it was Udbodhan, Mayarbadi, or even Jairam Bhatti or any other place. They just went to her as a child would go to their mother. Child always goes to the mother to ask something. Even the animals of her household, they were so. There's a very interesting incident I was just reading. There was a cat. She was, uh, she had warned all the brahmacharis because the cat would come and steal milk. They had no resources, and whatever little milk this cat would come and steal. So Holy Mother, just to deter this brahmachari, he used to use a stick and beat the cat. So she said, "Don't do that." Then finally, when the brahmachari was not listening, she said, "Do you know, I just to prevent him from taking that harsh step, she said, I also live in that cat." And from that day onwards, he could not obviously beat. He could not beat his own guru. Said, even in that cat, I am there. But something interesting happened. Even the cat, it's not that she was always compassionate towards the cat. Sometimes she would be strict, just like a mother would be scolding their children, not with the intention of uh, hurting that child, but with the intention of improving him. She would sometimes scold the cat, but the cat could see through. It would it would be shocked because normally it would not expect mother to scold, but even in spite of that scolding, even an animal like cat could understand that it is out of infinite love that she is scolding that cat, and it would just growl at her, but at the same time approach her instead of running away. Normally, when we scold or when we try to beat a cat, it would try to escape. But even the cat understood that here I don't have to be afraid, and there's no other place I can go to if I run away from her. And there is a description that says the cat even used to growl and get angry because mother scolded, but still would go and approach her feet, seeking protection. So that was the kind of acceptance, or that was the kind of love she had for every being. Even the broom, we say, if somebody used the broom and threw it away, even this insentient thing, she would say that it has served a certain purpose. It has helped you to clean the dust, and now you are just discarding it and neglecting and throwing it away. That's not how you treat a broom. So you can imagine the reverence she had for life, and through that, she demonstrated Advaita in practice. Swami Vivekananda might have spoken about Advaita. Many of us speak about Advaita, but how difficult it is to practice Advaita. To see the same consciousness in the cat and the suffering human beings, many of whom were troubling her. Sometimes Radhu's daughter used to throw burning charcoals at her. In the kitchen, whenever she got crazy, she used to throw that. And whatever came to her hand, she used to throw. But she tolerated everything. So, with her wonderful reverence for life, whether a person, there was no, absolutely no discrimination, whether a person was good, whether he was holy, whether he was fit to be given initiation. Initiation was an important part of her life. Her ministration, her transmission of spirituality was through mantra diksha. That's a tradition more than Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. We hardly hear of Swami Vivekananda initiating someone. Though we hear in the West he gave mantras to some, but it's only Holy Mother who, Sri Ramakrishna of course gave initiation, but he was so choosy, so selective. He chose the best, and all the rest he sent to Holy Mother. So, Brahmananji also, the tradition that was started after the Sangha was started, she was also known as the Sangha Janani. So, whatever Swami Brahmananda and all, they used to follow the same principle as Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna used to test every disciple before accepting him. He was a taskmaster. But see the greatness of Holy Mother, that when Swami Brahmananda and others, once it so happened that a few disciples, a few devotees went to Brahmananda for initiation. Because initiation is a process which, in the Ramakrishna tradition, initiates you into spiritual life. And though this tradition was there, Kula Guru system was there in our Indian tradition, Guru Shishya's tradition was there, but it was Holy Mother who really initiated thousands of disciples and created a new tradition. When Sri Ramakrishna said, I've just begun the work, you have to do much more. She lived for 34 years after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, all of us know. So that role as a spiritual guru of the Ramakrishna order, of the highest order, a task which even Brahmananji refused to take upon himself. Swami Brahmananda was the first president of the order. Swamiji did not live long enough, but Swami Brahmananji was the first guru, you can say, who initiated a large number, but he was so selective. He used to select and then finally decide. Once three people came and three devotees, but just by looking at, because Swami Brahmananda shared the same, he had the same power as Sri Ramakrishna, he could read the minds and the samskaras of the people, and they have to take the responsibility of the karma of the disciples whom they are initiating. So even a person of the stature of Swami Brahmananda hesitated to initiate these people, but they were just pestering him, entreating him, where shall we go if you don't give us Diksha? So he said, you may try, you may go to Holy Mother. And obviously, when they went to Holy Mother, even Holy Mother first refused. So you can imagine what kind of karma those people had, which even Holy Mother hesitated. But then see her grace and compassion. When they approached, the incident goes like this. First, they were refused by Swami Brahmananda. And he said, if you may try, because they were just not letting him go. So he goes, these three devotees, they go to Holy Mother, and Holy Mother goes inside her room and remarks to her sevaks, their brahmacharis or somebody. She says, you see what these people are doing? They, they take the best and then send all the rest to me. How much I can do? So the devotees were upset because they knew that if Holy Mother doesn't initiate them, then they have no hope in life. So they just come back, and then Holy Mother finally compassionately agrees to initiate them. So even Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Brahmananji, and all the other presidents of the Ramakrishna order, and when this incident came, the Brahmananda, Swami Premananda, Shivananda, they were all sitting on that bench in Belur Math, which is facing the Ganga. Just below Swamiji's bedroom, there is a big bench. They used to always sit there. So these three people were turned away. And when they heard that Holy Mother had turned them away, they knew the reason why they were turned away. Maybe they had so much of bad karma, and that would cause problems for those who initiate them. But when, after a few days, they came joyfully, these three devotees, and said, finally, Mother has accepted. These people started, the direct disciples started looking at each other, not believing, see what kind of greatness or what kind of power Holy Mother possessed to digest all these, whoever came to her. So we see this mantra diksha or this spiritual ministration through giving the mantra was one important aspect of Holy Mother's life. And she set a tradition which continues to this day. Because she used to believe that in this Kali Yuga, as Sri Ramakrishna said, repeating the name of the Lord is the panacea for all evils. So there are so many other sadhanas which were possible in other yugas. So many wonderful sadhanas. If you take our scriptural texts, there's Karma Yoga, there's Gyan Yoga, there's so many methods that have been tried, tested, implemented, and many sadhakas have attained mastery over that. So India has developed these spiritual techniques, but for this Kali Yuga or for this particular age, especially after Sri Ramakrishna's advent, Swamiji says Satya Yuga began in one of his letters. He says, after the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, Satya Yuga has again started. So it was Holy Mother who played an important role for more than 34 years, ceaselessly initiating hundreds and thousands of disciples who later on, many of them, if you see, she used to initiate people everywhere and anywhere. Once there's a wonderful incident, if you know, she even initiated people, gave the mantra on a railway station. Once a poor porter, when he saw spontaneously, you see, there must be some inherent spirituality in that person. He just fell at her feet and said, I mean, he just saw Janaki. He was a worshipper of Sri Rama. So he saw, literally, he felt that he has approached Sita. And very calmly, without any fuss, they were ready to board a train. But she immediately gave mantra to that porter, an unknown person. They didn't know each other. So that's how she, just out of her boundless grace, she just showered spiritual power amongst. So that's why Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna said that uh, you have to do much more. And Swami Vivekananda said, you do not know the greatness of Holy Mother. She is born to revive Shakti in this age. Now in the West, you all know, it has been, history is not very kind to women. Always, right from beginning, you take any culture, they were always considered to be, especially the Semitic religions. Spirituality and religion is denied to women. I mean, they can practice it, but they can't rise in hierarchy, especially in organized religion. You cannot expect a woman to become a pope or any form of organized religion, you say, even Islam and other religions. It is so difficult to imagine woman taking the role of a spiritual leader. So one of the reasons why Swami Vivekananda said that in this age he has come to demonstrate that revival of that Shakti in womanhood. Shakti, of course, everything is Shakti, whether one is a man or a woman, anything that is created. The whole of nature, according to Vedanta, is Shakti or Prakriti. Prakriti is always addressed as the feminine, the eternal feminine. I'm not speaking from that point of view. But considering, I mean, allowing a woman to become the spiritual guru of mankind, this is a phenomena which has never before happened in history on such a large and large scale. Because you see, even just after Holy Mother, I mean, in those days it was very difficult to imagine even some kind of parity between men and women in any field, whether it is economics, politics, social fields, everywhere they were subordinate to men. So you can imagine the civilizational trends till the arrival of Holy Mother. if you see, nowhere in the world would you see great women being the inspirer, being great women inspiring great movements or an entire civilization. It's very difficult to see the role which Holy Mother played and is still playing. It's just the beginning. Now we have a wonderful biography, Sri Ma Sarada Devi and her divine play. It is really surprising. Till 1953, there was not a good biography of Holy Mother. Everybody knew about Sri Ramakrishna, Max Muller, and all. So many biographies of the great master was published. Swami Vivekananda's life in two big volumes. Everybody knew. But Holy Mother, though she passed away in 1920, Swami Vireshwaranji says that till 53, we hardly had any publication explaining or exploring the greatness of the life and message of Sri Ma Sarada Devi. It is only during her centenary, 1853 was the centenary. A few years, a year after that, the Sharda Mutt was started, the first women's organization exclusively run by women, which is another historical achievement. Every time, even if women took to spirituality, they had to be subordinate. They were subordinates of some order in which men dominated. So they were not given absolute power. But Swami Vivekananda, in fact, in one of his conversations with Sharat Chandra Chakravarti's disciple, he says, I am keen to start a woman's mutt first before starting the Ramakrishna mutt. That was his dream. Of course, he could not materialize it because society was not prepared for that. But he never gave up hope. That dream came true much later in 1953 when making Sri Ma Sarada Devi as the center, a completely women's monastic order, a woman, a sannyasini playing the role of a spiritual guru of the entire order in such a big and organized way. Of course, the expansion is not as much as we see in the Ramakrishna order, but still, it is very significant. If you compare it with the other movements, you see where everywhere women have been subservient to men. So this is a great achievement. This is what Swami Vivekananda meant when he wanted to establish Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi, as a center around which all the women will rally. Not only in the field of politics or economics, sociology, social matters, but also in spiritual matters. Because that is only only when all the levels are covered. For example, Betty Friedan and others in America started a movement for women's empowerment. They just started fighting for women's rights. Even in England, Henrietta Muller was one who was very keen to work for women's empowerment, and Swami Vivekananda even encouraged her. And she was so motivated when Swami Vivekananda visited England in 1895 and 96. Of course, she expected him to take a role and help them, but Swami Vivekananda was very clear in his ideas that women's problems have to be solved by women themselves. Who are men to dictate and tell women what they should do and solve their problems? When he was asked this question, because there were many pressing questions, especially in India and all over the world, where women's problems were discussed. Widow remarriage, how should a widow, so many orthodox customs, orthodox systems, which were subjugating women all over the world. And they were important social issues. So they came up for discussion. And when Swami Vivekananda was asked, he gave a very, very significant reply. He said, who are you to solve the women's problems? They are capable of solving their own problems. Let them take the lead. Let them decide what is good for themselves, and let them solve their own problems. So that is the idea. And you see in Sri Ma Sharda Devi's life, Many times she was very dutiful, dutiful wife of Sri Ramakrishna. She was also a very devoted disciple because she had her spiritual training, because the age difference, Sri Ramakrishna was 23 and she was just 5 when the marriage took place. So naturally that uh, guru-disciple relationship was there. But at the same time, when she grew up in spiritual maturity, we can see so many incidents in her life where she differed, where she simply told Sri Ramakrishna, no, this is what I feel, and Sri Ramakrishna respected her for that. One example, it's a small example, but it shows that even during her young age, because she lived uh, till 1920, 34 years after Sri Ramakrishna passed away in 1886. She was much more spiritually mature then. But when Sri Ramakrishna was alive, she had this duty of feeding the young disciples like Swami Yogananda, Swami Vivekananda. They used to come very often to Dakshineshwar, and in that small Nahabat, small room where she used to sleep, she used to cook, she used to store everything and look after her mother-in-law, who used to stay in that Nahabat. She used to do almost everything there and cook food for these young disciples. And they being young, they used to eat a lot. So Sri Ramakrishna was very particular about the diet of his disciples. He did not like that they should be eating too much. That would affect their spiritual practices. So he would very often scold her and try to tell her that don't feed them with so much of chapatis. Who is responsible for their spiritual progress? So Holy Mother suddenly would burst out and said, no, I will take the whole responsibility. She used to just have her way when it came to all these things. So Sri Ramakrishna understood that slowly the Divine Mother is preparing her for a much bigger role in looking after the disciples after his passing away. And he was happy about it. So we can see that it was Sri Ramakrishna who trained her and who anticipated, or maybe who wished that she carried on the mantle of spirituality that he his mantle of spirituality, and take it forward for many years. And the Ramakrishna movement, which had just begun, you can say it began when Sri Ramakrishna distributed those ochre clothes to the disciples, to his direct disciples. Though formally the Ramakrishna mission was started much later, in 1897, the mission was started after Swami Vivekananda returned from the West. So at an organizational level, maybe it was started later, but so Sri Ramakrishna knew that this order is in safe hands because it's the power of Holy Mother is behind this order. So that is why there is a book known as Sangha Janani. She is also known as Sangha Janani. So that role has to be explored. Many scholars have written about Vivekananda, Ramakrishna's role and Vivekananda's role in expanding the order, traveling all over the world, because we see activity. We don't know the power of silence, silent power, a spiritual power. Swami Vivekananda once said, out of purity and silence comes the word of power, not through activity. Because people get carried away. We are so external in our approach. We see the great achievements, great buildings, great expansion, and we think that is progress. Once some of the Western disciples, who were helping Swamiji to plan his mission, they thought Swamiji is also like them, planning big organizations, big buildings, and big activities. So naturally, the Western speciality is the power of organization. Swamiji once said that the Romans and the Greeks have given the world, that contribution cannot be ignored. How to govern people, how to organize things, how to run things in an organized way, how to use individual forces in an organized way to create great institutions. So I admired the Greeks and the Romans for that. But at the same time, he believed that at the root of everything is the silent spiritual power which is born out of purity. That is why he said it's not the organization of the disciples that conquered the Roman Empire. Said it was 12 fishermen were enough. The spiritual power released by Jesus through his 12 disciples were enough to overturn a huge empire, a Roman Empire. That's why Swamiji he says 12 fishermen blew up the Roman Empire. So he knew the power of spirit over matter. That is what Srima Sarada Devi exhibited. Others exhibited external achievements. You see, Swamiji traveled all over the world. We appreciate him for that. And we think he did a great job by visiting America, crisscrossing America, coming to Europe, giving talks here, doing so many things. Holy Mother never moved out of her room, doing the same cooking, and we think, what has she achieved? To an external eye or to a superficial eye, there is hardly any achievement. Even Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi so many times. There are so many great things which can be written about Sri Ramakrishna. But what about Holy Mother? She did not change her routine even till the end of her life. The same Radhu's daughter, the same crazy people around her, the same village, maybe a better place she got after so much of struggle. She got a nice place to stay. And which she could use only for 10 years of her life. But 24 years she was moving from place to place, not even having a place to stay of her own, either staying in Jairambati, Kamarpukur, whatever comes. So we may think, what kind of power is this? So Swami Vivekananda used to say when he was asked, how can we estimate, how can we say that a civilization is progressing? Because the Western idea of progress is that the material achievements. Now, for example, in India, we hear the slogan, India will become a Vishwa Guru. You ask most of them, they'll say economically we are number 5, we'll go to number 3, we may even go to number 1. But what of that? That is not how Swami Vivekananda wanted us to be a Vishwa Guru. Because when he was asked what makes for civilizational progress, Rome was so progressive. Alexander conquered almost half the world. Genghis Khan conquered so many, Ashoka and all these great emperors, they conquered so many kingdoms. And they were mighty powers. But where are they? They are all vanished from the face of the earth. So that is why Swami Vivekananda, when he was asked, he gave a very nice answer to some of his Western disciples who were so keen to show him how an organization, because when he started this organization, he had his own doubts. Because he says, this is not the Indian way, I'm borrowing something from the West. It's a great temptation of my life, this organization. What he meant was, I'm trying to use Western ways to further my cause, which is essentially spiritual. He says, I don't know, it's a great experiment, but I was tempted. I thought nothing is possible without an organization. But Holy Mother's life shows what Swami Vivekananda meant when he said, when he was asked what is civilization, what is progress? What do you mean by progress of civilization? He gave a very nice answer. It's one of the best answers. Everybody who writes about human progress, about civilizational progress should think deeply, think in depth about this statement of Swamiji where he says, civilization is nothing but the progressive reading of spirit into matter. That is exactly what Jesus said. That is exactly what Holy Mother said. That is exactly what Sri Ramakrishna said. But they said it in a different way. The spirit always triumphs. Those who understood it, the 12 disciples who understood it, could defeat the whole Roman Empire and convert, within a few centuries, convert the whole mighty Roman Empire, which killed Jesus, into Christianity. It was not the power of the sword, it was not the power of physical power that changed the Roman Empire. It was the spirit, the power of the spirit that won ultimately. And that is what Jesus used to say, my kingdom is the kingdom of the spirit. So Swamiji says, the more you read spirit into matter, and don't just get enamored by the progress that we make materially. That is real progress. The more you read spirit into matter, that is exactly what Holy Mother's life is. Materially, practically, she even demonstrated less than what Sri Ramakrishna did and what Swamiji did. Leave alone Swamiji, the other direct disciples, they have so many achievements to their name. Swami Akhandananda and all the Swami Brahmananda starting Banaras Sevashram. But Holy Mother led the same life. Till the end of her life, she did nothing but cooking. So it gives us a hint that if we follow a humdrum routine life, is that life of no value? Now we are coming to the relevance. How Holy Mother's life and message is relevant to a housewife, to a person who is leading an ordinary life. Because our life matches with her. Maybe we are much more sophisticated in the sense we have many more material things than her. But compare her to an ordinary rural woman of India. Can she get inspiration from Holy Mother's life? Can somebody go on doing cooking her entire life? You tell me, incident-wise, what did Holy Mother do? Except, of course, I'm not talking of the spiritual ministration that she did, but externally, if you see, the same cooking till she had the pain in her this thing arthritis prevented her from cooking. She even used to clean the plates, clean the leaf plates in that remote village. So apparently, from a Western point of view, or from an external point of view, or a material point of view, she achieved nothing significant. She lived her whole life in a rural setting, dealing with these crazy relatives and some strange people who used to come with so many desires and so many prayers, so many selfish desires, so many worldly desires. She did not reject any one of them. But at the same time, that spiritual power that was within her showed through her serenity, her wisdom, her calmness, her equanimity. Nothing could shake her. Even Swamiji used to get upset, get angry. You show me one incident where Holy Mother got angry on anyone, whatever be the circumstances. Swamiji himself said, when the Maharaja of Mysore asked him, what is life? So he gave a very nice definition. Theoretically, it is very good, but it is Holy Mother who practiced it. Every moment of her life, she practiced what Swami Vivekananda said, but whereas he himself sometimes used to get angry and get upset because these things were not done. Srima Sarada Devi was, in her own way, that spiritual serenity which comes of a deeply contemplative life. She was guiding unconsciously the whole organization. Almost unsurmountable problems. You see, one prayer of hers, we got monasteries. She just prayed to Thakur when she saw the big Buddhist monasteries with so much of facilities, and she saw the brother disciples of Swamiji begging for morsels of food, staying in a dilapidated structure in Baranagar Mutt. Everything was in front of her eyes. If you see the early days of Baranagar and Alam Bazar, now they are trying to recreate that. And some of the old photos, if you see, it's difficult to imagine how human beings can live there. It's a haunted house with hardly anything and people criticizing them. Even Shashi Maharaj sometimes used to go begging for some food. He used to face so much of criticism. He said, you are young people, why can't you work and earn a living? Why are you begging food? So many times they had to go hungry eating bimba leaves. If you see the description of Baranagar Mutt. So when her compassion was aroused, she just prayed. She went to Gaya when she saw the huge Buddhist monasteries with so much of facilities and other things, so much of affluence. So she just prayed to Sri Ramakrishna. She used the power of the spirit the silent prayer that she believed in. And she said, my children are wandering here for want of food and want of shelter and accommodation, and you are not doing nothing to solve that problem. And see how these monasteries are so wealthy, so at least give them some basic minimum food and shelter to survive. And you see slowly over a period of time how the organization consolidated itself. I'm not saying that she would, Swamiji or anyone. Swamiji, in fact, whenever there was this idea of affluence and other things, and when there was a need, he said we can sell the Belur Math land and buildings and do charity. He was of that nature, not that he wanted that. But what I'm saying is this Holy Mother's silent prayer, the power of purity and silence, spread through all these activities. Whatever we are today, whatever you see, the achievements of the Ramakrishna movement or the order that you see is the Swami Vivekananda himself says in his famous talk on My Master, which he delivered partly in New York and partly in London. He says that's the only talk he gave on his Guru, My Master. There he says, when everybody abandoned us, the whole society abandoned us, we were struggling even for a morsel of food. It was this woman, he doesn't name her, but this woman who stood by us, and through her power, we somehow survived. Because though externally she was staying in Jairambati or maybe staying somewhere else, she was just moving from place to place. But the power of her prayer, the power of silence, the power of unselfish prayer and love towards the children to solve their problems, big or small, that was always there. So, in that sense, she is the Sangha Janani and she continues to provide inspiration, materially or otherwise. That is why many of our sadhus, they say when there is a spiritual problem, you go to Thakur. But when you suffer, when you have some uh, problems which are material in nature, you can easily approach Holy Mother also. Because she is Annapurna. You know, one of our Swamis was saying that the famous pose, if you see there is a Holy Mother's pose which we always have in our dining hall. It is known as Annapurna pose. So many centers, when they were facing financial crisis, they would not go to Sri Ramakrishna. They'll say, just keep a picture of Holy Mother in this Annapurna pose. She will provide all the, she will give all the supplies. So that is her concern. It's not that she uh, she was concerned about the all-round welfare of her children. That is the greatness. Because Divine Mother or Mother Nature has a dual role to play. Sri Ramakrishna was very strict, like Jesus before him. They always believed in the power of the Spirit, 100% Spirit. Jesus did not even bother if his body was crucified because he knew Spirit alone will survive. Whereas if we see Holy Mother's life, she could, without sacrificing the importance of spirit, the spiritual element in our life, she also looked after the material needs. Because after all, human beings have their own problems, have their own levels at which they exist. And it's a gradual progress they have to make. Holy Mother understood that. In Patanjali's Raj Yoga, Maharishi Patanjali says, this Prakriti, who is nothing but the Divine Mother or nature, is like a loving mother. She will take you through all the experiences. Even worldliness is an experience. But she will not allow you to drown in worldliness. She will show you like a mother. It's such a beautiful verse explanation Vyasa gives in one of the sutras of Patanjali. She says Prakriti is very, very kind. Like a mother taking a child through a mela. You know, mela means at a fair. The child will be taken, shown everything, but then finally she has to take the child home. Otherwise, we'll get lost in this mela of the world. So mother shows us her, that is part of her nature. Prakriti is made of rajas, tamas, and sattva. So mother, the kind mother, even if she gives you some relief at some point of time in our life, she showed that ultimately the ultimate solution is spiritual. We cannot have a worldly solution to our spiritual to our problems. There can be a spiritual solution only. But knowing the nature, as Thakur used to say, the mother knows which child can digest rice, which child can digest pulao, or which child can eat what kind of food. So mother was so considerate. If you see the life of Holy Mother, you can see that she catered to the needs of everyone at whatever level he or she was. She didn't criticize like the other monks like Brahmananda and others, saying that this is worldliness and all. She knew what it means, why a person is worldly, why he is behaving the way he is, because of some compulsion. Even that famous example where Swami Vivekananda once, there was one employee, a servant was working in Belur Math, and he was very poor, so he stole some things, which is natural. Uh, if you lack something, the natural tendency of the human mind is to steal. So Swami Vivekananda was terribly upset, said, in a monastery you are stealing, so he just dismissed him. And this servant went to Udbodhan because he knew mother's nature. And Swami Premanandji was there. Premanandji was very kind. In fact, he used to give away whatever was there in the mutt, and Swami Brahmanandji and all would get angry. Said, you are giving everything, saying that this devotee is poor, I should give him, and there's nothing left for us. So Premanandji was there, and the servant went there and told Holy Mother that I've lost my job. Swami Vivekananda has dismissed me because I stole something. He was honest. He admitted that he had stolen. And then Mother said, no, no, go back and tell that Mother has said to take you back. Where will this poor person go? So Premanandji was afraid because Swamiji will scold him. This Baburam has brought this fellow back. He went with Baburam. Mother said, no, you take him and tell Holy Mother has said. Then Swamiji had to admit. Said, now you have gone to the High Court, I can't do anything. So she is our High Court. When other things do not work, whether it is in a material plane or in a spiritual plane. Obviously, for long we cannot always ask material things of her. Even she will advise us not to, she will give what is required, but when she understands that it is hurting us spiritually, she will take it away also. This is what Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that a real guru or a real world prophet who who's concerned about the ultimate welfare of a human being, maybe he supports them in the times, in the difficult times, but at the same time doesn't fail to point out that the solution, the spiritual solution, is the ultimate solution. That is why we find Holy Mother used to always, today there was some such wonderful reading. Most of them was compiled from different conversations of Holy Mother about Sri Ramakrishna. She's always, you saw, some of them were by some direct disciples, but again and again she would point out to the fact that you have to hold on to the eternal if your problem has to be solved in a permanent way. Temporary patchwork and solutions can be found, and she did that also. She helped. One interesting incident I'll tell and close. We all know how Holy Mother served Radhu's daughter and Radhu both. Both were crazy and they needed help, and throughout her life, she had to face so much hardship. So when she was old, the monks, of course, respected her because mother served her, physically at least. Physically, she was served by mother till the last day of her life. And many times mother used to say, see, if I die, then what will happen to you? Because nobody would take the responsibility of serving them. But this Radhu, when she became very old and she was admitted to The monks thought Banaras, in Calcutta, we don't have many facilities of medical treatment. She was very old. So they thought if we shift her to Banaras, she will get good care and she'll die peacefully. And as all Hindus believe, she will get mukti. And we all think that Radhu, being crazy as she was, would not read through this plan of the monks. So she started scolding that monk. When she heard that there is a plan to shift her to Banaras, she said something remarkable. The person who troubled Holy Mother so much and who took all sorts of physical service, I mean, feeding, looking after all her needs when she was sick, everything Mother used to do. So Radhu said something remarkable when that plan was suggested that you should go to Banaras so that your physical needs will be taken care of. They said, no, no. Then she understood, said, don't. She was so full of wisdom. She was not an ordinary person. Otherwise, Holy Mother would not have served her. But in any case, she said, do you think what kind of wisdom you have? You want to shift me to Banaras because you think I have troubled Holy Mother so much and all my sins will be washed away and I'll get mukti if I die in Banaras. But I see you don't have the intelligence. No, I don't. I see that you have absolutely no intelligence. Do you think Mother would be foolish to abandon me? She who has looked after me, after my physical body, will she not give me mukti? Then she said, even if I die on this garbage dump, she pointed out to a garbage dump. She said, even if I die here, I'll get mukti. Mother has already taken care of this. So you see, this loving service, though apparently for external purposes we think she was crazy, but she knew that if Mother, the faith in Mother that she had, that Mother will never abandon me. If she has not abandoned my physical, she has fulfilled my physical needs, has she not taken care of my spiritual future? My mukti has been already assured by Holy Mother. That much faith this Radhu had. So this is the kind of, apparently it is a simple life, doing small tidbits of service. Apparently it's not a life that, uh, which could be claimed as glorious in worldly terms, in external terms. We cannot say it's a glorious life full of activity, full of divine power manifesting. Though the power was there, it was so silent, as Swamiji said, like the silent dew, which brings into blossom the fairest of roses. He spoke about Hindu thought in that way, that Hindu thought is so silent that its impact is like the silent dew which brings into blossom the fairest of roses. When you see the rose blooming in the morning, you understand that it's the power of the silent dew which has worked which has resulted in this rose blooming. So, Holy Mother's life, if we see, analyze deeply, though it was silent, unassuming life, but the steadiness, the stateliness with which she conducted herself, it is such a difficult thing. That is something which we have to emulate because our problems, no matter how serious they may be, are nothing compared to what she had to face. So, in that situation, asserting the power of the spirit over matter, which Swami Vivekananda said describes civilizational progress. The more you read spirit into matter, the more spirit prevails. If matter wins, then civilization goes down. When matter prevails, we see the grandeur, we see the external glory manifesting itself, and we are just, uh, uh, blinded by that glory, and we think that is a glorious thing that is happening in the external world. But when spirit prevails, apparently the incidents, when Jesus was crucified, everybody laughed at him, said he could not even save his own life. You see, there is the emperor of the Jews and the Romans, everybody who crucified him were laughing. But the power of spirit which he released converted that same Rome which killed him, which crucified him. Within a few centuries, it was converted, the power of spirit. So also Holy Mother, with her wonderful spiritual power, unseen, silent spiritual power born of absolute purity, as Swamiji said, she could create such a great impact, and she is in fact creating a great impact even today as the Sangha Janani in various ways, helping so many incidents. Of course, we don't have much time now. I can relate so many hundreds of incidents of our monastic brothers in extreme difficult situations. These are not cock and bull stories. These are real incidents which have happened in their lives when everything seemed to be impossible, when there was no way out. It was her silent power, the silent power of prayer, the silent prayer of meditation, the silent power of japa, about which we read. Again and again she says japat siddhi, japat siddhi. Such a simple technique she has given. All the quotations that we saw, the only thing she is asking, the only spiritual practice she is asking of us is, especially those who have been initiated, is because that the presence that we try to feel, no matter we forget many times, but again and again that connection has to be established. That is the only thing we need to do. She made spiritual life so simple to us. And then she said, the easiest and the best way to solve all the problems of life, spiritual as well as material, the easiest and the best way to solve all the problems of life is to take the name of Sri Ramakrishna in silence. It was not a casual statement that she made. She lived every moment of her life. That's why we say Ramakrishna Gata Prana, one whose life was uh, intertwined with Sri Ramakrishna's life. You cannot separate them. If you meditate on Holy Mother, you meditate on Sri Ramakrishna. So whichever mantra you, whichever Guru has given you a mantra, the Bija represents the Holy Mother. She is the power behind Sri Ramakrishna. She is the Shakti. That's why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, without Shakti's grace, nothing will happen. He even told Hriday that if I scold you, if you scold me, and if I get angry, perhaps you will be saved. But if Mother gets angry on you, then there's nobody in the universe, in the three worlds, that can save you. So Sri Ramakrishna knew the power of Holy Mother, the Shakti that was hidden. It was totally hidden, and it was pure spirit that was manifesting through her apparently insignificant external life. I'm saying apparently insignificant spiritual life because if you read in great detail, fortunately we have this wonderful book, The Divine Play of Srima Sarada Devi, where so many wonderful Bengali reminiscences of different disciples have been put together so that the English reader can benefit. If you read that, you'll understand that the apparently simple life was not so simple. It was deep, profound. And today, on this auspicious day, uh, Holy Mother's Tithi Puja day, no doubt we will have these pujas, we will have these rituals, but it is a life, the deep reflection on the life and message of an apparently insignificant life which can motivate us in our own insignificant lives. Because we feel Mother is so near to us. Externally, at least, we will feel that our life is as insignificant as hers. Whereas if we compare our lives with Sri Ramakrishna's or Swamiji's, we think there is a huge difference. We feel even it's difficult to even bridge that gap. But we feel Mother is like our own. The same thing that we do, the same cooking that we do, the same service that we do, the same relationship we have with people around us, good people, difficult people, everything that we encounter in our small little lives, she has encountered and showed how to live with serenity, with dignity, with peace, and with joy. So, on this auspicious occasion, I humbly crave for her infinite grace to be showered upon all of us so that we can not only take inspiration from her wonderful life and teachings, but try to uh, implement a little of that through her grace. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Some time, some questions are there. 22 minutes. You don't have to be too serious. Everybody appears to be suddenly become very serious. Though she was serious, you don't see the same. Hardly you can imagine Holy Mother laughing. Once or twice she laughed. Thakur was always laughing and joking. Swamiji also. But Holy Mother was so dignified. So deep and dignified that hardly anyone saw her laugh. Once somebody saw her singing and in a very merry mood. They said, see, mother is singing. But that was a rare thing. That is because she did not need external joy to make her. The joy was welling from the heart. So everything was joyful. Even the suffering was joyful. That's why she says, I don't know what suffering is. So in the midst of suffering, if you find joy, then why do you need laughter and jokes and all those? You don't need normal actions.
Maharaj,
Yes.
you said you could tell us many, many more episodes.
Oh, many. There are hundreds. It is there in that divine life.
Yeah, if we have, I know, but if we have no questions, they wouldn't mind sharing a few.
Because most of these incidents, of course, one I can tell about Swami Vireshwaranji when somebody asked him, because I was witness. I heard him, many people were just pressing him to tell. That is when I took initiation. I was hardly 22 at that time. So many people, because it was such a rare opportunity to meet somebody who was initiated by Holy Mother. That room where that famous photo is there, where there are those rice bags. You've seen a photo where she's sitting with her niece.
Yes.
Yeah, sitting in a corner of a veranda. That is where she initiated Bharat Maharaj, that is Abhayan and Swami Vireshwaranji and all. So everybody said, at least if not anything else, because he said everything has been published. So what new? There are no new things I can tell you. But then somebody had the courage to ask, "What did you feel after you were initiated?" So this question nobody had asked him. So he said, "Whom are you asking this question?" I said, "We are asking you because you were initiated." He said, "That person has gone." So what he meant was that that person whom you are asking, that personality no longer exists. So I felt as if my whole mind has been changed and I've been given a new mind. Just the old mind is thrown away and a new mind has been given. So that experience he told us. So you can imagine it is so difficult to change the old samskaras. We can turn them. An ordinary guru uh, can at least guide you to change some of your tendencies. That's the maximum even Brahmananji and others could do. So even Swami Vivekananda said sometimes we were helpless when we saw that there are samskaras are so deep, we could hardly change. But for mother, it was not like that. That is an indication because he says, I literally felt that the one who had gone for initiation with the mind that I went, that mind is not there. So there's nothing, I don't remember anything what has happened because the whole thinking, the whole process, the whole mind, mental stuff was changed. So that was the power she had.
One online question. Are there any writing or commentaries of Holy Mother has written on her Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads?
Commentaries. She didn't write any scripture, so there's no question of commentary. Her life itself was a commentary. So on Vivekananda, you can say Vivekananda's Gyan Yoga, somebody might in future write some commentary trying to explain what he said. But what Holy Mother said was born out of her own experience. So there is no need to write commentaries on that. Though you can try to interpret it, what she meant when she said certain things. That is possible, but that should not be, that is not a commentary. Because scriptures, because of their difficulty, the best thing which I heard someone saying is scriptures have a peculiar tendency of making easy things difficult, whereas prophets and great teachers, they have a knack of making difficult things easy. But problem is Jesus, Bhagwan Buddha, they spoke simple parables. But unfortunately, our complicated minds wants difficult texts, difficult scriptures. Then, because our academic orientation thinks that simple things are not valuable. Whereas the greatest thing, Swami Vivekananda said, the greatest truths are the most simplest things. And that is what Holy Mother did. If somebody says just Japat Siddhi, nobody will believe. And I've been doing Japa, nothing is happening. But if you believe, then that is a great source of power. Whereas if you explain in a very difficult way, then we are very happy. Oh, I understood Mundaka Upanishad. That Swami explained it so beautifully. I understood, but what of it? You might have understood what Mundaka is, but Holy Mother is giving you the essence of Mundaka in one word, which is simple, so simple that you think it is very trivial. That is the Maya of. That's why my Holy Mother is very difficult to understand. Ramakrishna himself said, she is full of knowledge but covered with Maya so that people do not recognize her. She is full of jnana, which is covered with Maya. So it's difficult to understand. One has to be simple to understand Holy Mother. Yes. Pardon?
Do we have lady Purohits or lady gurus in the Ramakrishna establishment?
Yeah, there is a separate order. Not only Purohit is a very cheap word. Purohits are a priestly class, though they have their own function. Like Purohits normally will do some ritualistic puja, which may or may not be part of true spirituality. But gurus definitely we have. Because every Sharda Math, as I told you, Swami Vivekananda had planned an organization where women will manage their own affairs, spiritual affairs themselves. He did not like the idea that he wanted the male domination to end. He said women are equally capable as men are to decide their own spiritual future. So there are gurus, obviously there are gurus because they have a separate order which was started in 1954, the centenary of Holy Mother, where the first batch of nuns were given sannyasa, but the rule was after the first, Swami Shankaranji was the president. After he gave the formal sannyasa, there's no interference by Ramakrishna Mission. So you can't say it is part of the Ramakrishna Mission. Though in a loose way, we are twin organizations, but they decide their own affairs. They have their own gurus. They have their own tradition which they follow. Though it is very similar because it is, after all, they are inspired by Ramakrishna, Srima Sarada Devi and Swami. So there are, of course, priestly jobs. They do priestly in the sense they do pujas, they do small other rituals. If you call that as priests, but nothing is prohibited. Perhaps your question is that women priests are very rare, isn't it? Pardon?
He said Purohits are cheap. Why did he say that?
No, not Purohits are cheap. Purohits, that is compared to the spiritual guru who deals with the higher aspects of spirituality. See, we have to start from a level. So, cheap in the sense it is at a lower, we travel from lower truth to higher truth. First, a ordinary person needs some ritual to understand what spirituality is. As he grows, then he outgrows the rituals. In every tradition, it is like that.
It's a stepping stone.
Stepping stone, yes. Lower truth to higher truth. No, it's not cheap. The thing is, I use the wrong word, but it's a lower form of spirituality which evolves into something higher. It should not get stuck at the lower level. Because more of spirit and less of matter. Rituals deal with matter, you know, there are so many material things that are needed. You need this, you need that, and they are so particular about certain things. Certain things, if they are not there, they'll say the ritual is incomplete. So there is a lot of material element in that. In that sense, it is a slightly lower practice. It's there in every scripture. The Tantras say, the Vaishnavas say the highest spirituality is repeating the holy name, and the lowest is doing puja and other things.
And you can't jump to the top straight away.
No,
You have to take
no,
step by
but
step.
how long you will stay at a particular level is our own choice, sweet choice. We can always remain on the ground floor if one is happy. Its choice is ours.